Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Super-Fanta-Fi. This being a show where I talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and/or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of Frequency. A crazy episode where a lot went down. Let's first start off about the whole Raimy and Daniel situation. I was like, seeing them getting all hot and steamy and everything. It literally kept popping up in my mind. I'm like, but what about his girlfriend? Did you completely forget about it, Raimy? He has a girlfriend. And then it's like, oh yeah, she comes up when they're like kind of at his house, like making out and everything. And it's like, oh, his phone keeps ringing. He opens it. Oh yeah, hello Claire. And it's like, oh gosh, she's coming over to my place and you got to leave. And like, she's like, wait, you didn't tell her about me? And it's kind of like, okay, so that was kind of Raimy's understanding. Because I was wondering, like, why you continued with this? Because you thought he had already told her. But apparently he's told her nothing. And it's like, he's like, yeah, I was just trying. It's like, and it's like, that's so scummy of you, Daniel. It's like, dude, that sucks. It's like, because you're playing her for a loop and whatnot. It's just kind of like, she thought, like, it's like, you would have told your girlfriend about me. It's like, oh, apparently I'm not that important to you. Storms off and leaves, ends up bumping into Claire. And lo and behold, what's on her finger? The freaking engagement ring. It's like, wait, even with everything that's happened in between us, you proposed to her? He tried to kind of defend himself later on in the episode, being like, the fact is, I mean, obviously he did it out of like, he said he was scared, like, because like that day that she came and dropped him off, because he was super drunk and made him question everything. He's like, he proposed to her as a main way of fixing everything, trying to kind of get some stability back in his, like, get his life back in order. More so than anything, it was guilt, because he felt like bad because he was developing all these feelings for Raimy and stuff like that while he was still with his girlfriend. And then, Raimy's like, the very least you could have broken up with her if you were having these feelings, but no, what was more important was like, keeping everything. Because remember what he said, like, it kind of shows you where his priorities were, because he's like, oh, my life, I have this great place and stuff like that, which, once again, I'm playing devil advocate in this whole situation, because arguably it's like, yeah, he has his life in order, and then like things kind of stumble. I mean, it's like no one's forcing him. I mean, once again, playing devil advocate on that part, it's like technically Raimy did, because she kind of got all stalkerish and stuff like that, but no one kind of told him to kind of become fascinated by her because of that. So it's like there is something in him that was like, okay, be like kind of like you are attracted to her, but it's like he didn't want to give everything up because he's built this life for himself, and I guess he felt like Raimy was coming in to kind of wreck it. Like I brought it up last episode, which is kind of like, yeah, Raimy is kind of messing with his life, but at the same time, it's like you feel bad for her because she sees the man that she was madly in love with, the man that was going to propose to her, a man that could have been her husband in the future, and seeing him just like not being with her, it hurts, because it's like that, because it's like to him that entire, from his perspective, that whole relationship doesn't exist. But for her, it's like, it's hard to have that one side of like knowing everything there is to know about this person because you love them so much, and for them to look at you like a complete stranger. That even to her, it's almost like, because it's like she's coming into this situation like being a cheater, that she's making him cheat on his girlfriend. I mean, when she's not making him, but you could look at it like that, and it's just like, that's gotta suck too, because it's like she loves him and she wants to be with him. But it doesn't change the fact is that, I mean, because the fact she's so trying to bring her life from the original timeline back. I mean, because that's the question, is when it's all said and done, like, if they are able to save Julie, it's like, how will that play out with things as they've gone out this far? Will things completely change again into a third timeline? Or will it simply be the fact is that this timeline will stay the way it is, but then just Julie pops up? Because it's like, Julie was the main reason why Raimy and Daniel actually met in the original timeline, so it's like, maybe that'll play a role in it. Maybe, I feel like because of that, because I feel like no matter what happens, just with the nature of the show, there's no way things are going to snap back that perfectly. So I'm believing it's not going to go back to the original timeline. I'm pretty sure there's going to create a third timeline where her mom's still alive, but some things are still off. But it does seem like Raimy is going to give him the chance, because it's like, just give me enough time to break it off with Claire. And it's like, the question is, will he actually do it? Will he actually muster up the courage to do it? Because why most cheaters don't do that? I mean, I don't know, because you want to give Daniel the benefit of the doubt. I mean, who knows? I mean, I don't want to say that, but you never know. Like, maybe he could have ended up cheating on Raimy in the original. I mean, I don't know. It's a very messy situation. I don't want to look at anyone as a villain, because yes, from a moral standpoint, that's a problem and everything, but people are people. Like, people are not perfect. People make mistakes. Your heart can change in one moment. Like, you could care deeply about someone, but then also develop feelings for someone else. I'm not saying, like I said, morally it's right that you should play both sides and, like, treat Raimy like a mistress, but I say it's understandable because the heart just, there's more to it behind that. It's like, I mean, because the thing is, if it's arguable, because it's like, when it comes to Claire, did he really ever really love her if he's so easily let his heart get swayed by Raimy? So, I mean, it's even more messed up when Raimy points out the fact is, so you proposed to your wife, your fiance, and then you came and slept with me. So that's kind of like I said, a little shadier. So it's like, I don't know, you almost want to give him the benefit of the doubt. It's like a shame that Raimy is, because there's part of me that's like, give him a chance just because of your past together, but at the same time, there's the other side of me like, nah, screw that. He's trying to two-time you. He's trying to make you the other woman in a relationship. Don't let him treat you like that, Raimy. Like, you deserve better than that. You deserve to be happy, deserve to be treated right. But it's like, for her, she comes at it from a biased standpoint because of her past with Daniel. It creates that. But that's not just the only thing that was in this episode. Maricela, Alicia Diaz's character, pops up again, and apparently her mom's house was hit by a Molotov, so it's kind of like, oh, Stan's coming after me. She's asking Frank to look into it, try and take him down. It's like, hey, come, testify, go into witness protection, but she's like, no, I'm not about to do that. I'm not no rat. And then so he basically goes to a ex-cop named Armani, asking him kind of for surveillance equipment to kind of record Stan's dealing, because she basically gave him like, it's like, yo, Stan's doing this deal, it's like you can try and take him down like that. I mean, to me, I thought she was egging more towards her route of like, you could always kill Stan. Like, I thought she was going that route, but apparently she wasn't, because like for her, it's like, he's like, you expect me to just let you walk away with everything? Because it's like, she's still part of that drug game, that world that she was a part of. She didn't walk away from it when she had the chance, but she's kind of like, this is all I know. Like, you got to go back to your life. This is my life, and I have to live with it. So don't come in here kind of judging me, essentially. But, for Frank, it's kind of like, the fact is, I'm trying to do my best here. I'm trying to help you out and everything, but it's like, you won't let me do that. So, like, for her, it's kind of like this it's kind of a win-win situation, because he needs to get rid of Stan because Stan set him up to get killed and everything. Stan kind of ruined his life, essentially. And then Stan's trying to kill her. Like, because, even Raimy questions it, like, why are you protecting this woman? It's like, I get it, you were confused and everything, you explained that, but the fact is, why? Even now, she's kind of a bombshell. I mean, in his defense, he's saying, like, I'm trying to protect her because I screwed up her life. The fact is, getting involved with her when I knew I was married and I had you back at, you at Raimy back at home. And then on top of that, like, her brother got killed by Stan, I kind of, and then this whole situation from a mom's place getting attacked, it's like the very least he owes her. I mean, I don't think it's out of like a situation of like, oh, he still loves her or something like that. There's a part of him that probably still cares about her well-being more so than anything. He, obviously he still cares about Julie, but I think more so than anything, it's also about taking down Stan, the man that's basically screwed his life over, like kind of turned his life upside down, because he's the one that brought those pictures of Maricela to his house. I mean, granted, Julie never saw them, but still, Stan was trying to start some crap. He ends up recording Stan later on in the episode, but it's like Stan knew it was coming. Two things kind of came about from that conversation. Oh yeah, the reason why he knew is because Frank told Satch. The moment he was like telling Satch, and Satch walked away, I was like, dude, no, this is bad. This is real bad. It's like, because this is going, I was like, this is going to be the true test to see where Satch's alliances lie. And it seems like he chose Stan's side. He ends up telling Stan about it because I'm really pushing to think like the fact is that him and Stan are connected even at this point in time, because it's like he's trying too hard to defend Stan, because he's like, okay, then so what if Stan is dirty? He's like, then let IAB handle the situation. And Frank's like, I try to go down that route, it didn't work. I have to. Stan is an upstanding cop. Like, a lot of people will have Stan's back. Not a lot of people would have Frank's back. It'd just be kind of like, oh, he's just another cop trying to take down a good cop is all it was. It turned a lot of people against him, kind of like it did with Satch, apparently. But that's the thing. Like, maybe Satch and Stan are kind of working together even at this point, because it's like, he turned on him. And he even said it right to Frank's face why he did it. He was like, don't sit here and tell me it was for my sake. He's like, you're right. It wasn't for your sake. It was for mine. I was like, okay, so you're going to open up the fact is that Stan's got some dirt on you? It's like, nope, it's not even like that. It's like, you doing what you're doing is going to destroy your career. You might be fine with that, but I'm not. You destroying your career, you're my partner, so that means whatever befalls you is going to fall back on me too. And it's like, I'm not about to let you destroy my career. It's like, Satch, you bastard. He's like, he's like, I'm your partner. You're supposed to have my back. And it's like, you turn on me for Stan? It's like, you know he's dirty, yet you're still defending him. Why? And like I said, it's gotta be, Stan has to have something on him. Because he's, like, the fact is he said that, it makes me think he was gonna tell Frank the truth, but he just couldn't. Stan's gotta have something on him. Like, for Stan to be where he is right now, he has to, like, because even in Raimy's timeline, he was up to some shady crap. I mean, for the original timeline, when he was kind of Raimy's SO, she knew that, because everyone respected Stan's like, oh yeah, Stan's like top cop around here and everything, but now it's kind of like, nah, like looking back on it, she realizes just how much of a shady cop he was, and that's why she kind of holds bias against him, not just for what he did to her dad, but also finding out, like, seeing things from a different perspective, because it's like, during her original timeline, a lot of the stuff he did makes a lot more sense of, like, him being a dirty cop, so... I was just like, man, that whole Satch situation, I was like, man, that sucks. Especially when you counteract that with Satch in the present day trying to help Raimy out so much. It's like, you feel bad for Satch because it's like, you feel like he's screwing over Frank in the past, but he's helping out Raimy in the future. And that's why I'm thinking, like, why he helps Raimy out so much, why he cares for her. Because he, not only because Frank was his partner, but it's also because he screwed Frank over in the past. Because it's a question of, like, how did Frank get to where he is in the past to where he is in the present? The fact is, him and Satch are such a good friend, so either he never found out about the Stan connection, because it's like, the fact is, Frank ended up dying in present day. Now, I've kept pointing at Stan, who knows, maybe it's actually the Nightingale killer for all we know, catching up to him. It's like, he caught up to Amanda, but still. And then the other side of things is kind of the possibility that Maricela actually tricked, Frank into thinking like Stan came after her, but the fact is, he's like, yo, she's taking over Little J's operation. She's trying to run things in his like drug gang. So who's to say she didn't, that the whole thing, she sicked you on me because she knew me and the boys were going to take her down like as a cop, not just like as a dirty cop apparently. I mean, either way, but nevertheless saying like the person that hit her place could have easily been a competitor. And it's like, it brings up that question because it's like Satch, not even Marisol, like, Frank's at a point like he doesn't know who he can trust. Like, it's, Satch is like his best friend and his partner, and it's like he stabbed him in the back, and it's like, who does he turn to? Like, who does he have left to turn to? He ends up turning to Julie, which at the same time, it's like, you have the Daniel and Raimy situation. I like the kind of like, the reflection of that, because it's almost like a reflection of their lives getting back to the way they're supposed to be, because it's like, because he's telling Julie that he's going to tell her everything that went down in that 2 years, like, while he was undercover. But like I said, it's like you see the reflection of just past and present like that. So I thought that's kind of neatly done. But that's me just talking about on a very personal level. What we ended up finding out in this episode, apparently, I forgot the dude's last name, but the guy that was essentially a deacon, apparently... The reason why he was like, I was like, oh, that's got to be Megan's brother or something like that. No, apparently that's her stepdad. I was like, really? I wasn't expecting that, but apparently that's her stepdad. Because I knew it had to be a family member that could be able to put her in that position for them to like essentially lock her up, because they think she might be a risk or whatever. So I was like, knew he had to be family. I was thinking brother, but I didn't expect stepdad. So what we ended up finding out is because like, you have Raimy being so sure that it's Joe, like, when she pieces everything together, finds out apparently that, especially finds that out and finds out what Megan was saying, that apparently Joe's a monster and stuff like that, tries to find her, but by the time Raimy gets to Megan and she's gone, so Raimy's being like, oh, you gotta find Joe in the present, and you basically talk to Megan back in 96 and ends up talking to her and comes to find out, because the thing is, like, it's hard to say whether or not Megan is guilty or not, whether she's whether she's just crazy or not. So Frank ends up talking to her and ends up finding out that she was abused by Joe in a physical manner, not just her mom and her brother too. And it got to the point that he really messed her brother up, and it enraged Megan to the point that she tried to kill him. That was kind of put in a record and stuff like that. But when the police got involved in everything, like, she couldn't kill him because he was too strong. Well, when the time came, her brother and her mom, because they were so afraid of him, backed his story and made it seem like Megan was crazy. So the whole slicing her arms open thing was just kind of trying to get attention, like, at the camp and everything, to let him know, like, he can't keep quiet, to kind of get other people's attention, so, because that's the thing I'm kind of pushing. Like, I was kind of debating the entire episode, like, okay, maybe what we end up finding, because the thing is, like, the fact that she brings up as a little girl, when Frank talked to her, brings up the fact is her mom and brother have not visited her, like, the entire time she was locked away in a psychiatric facility. Her mom and brother would visit her frequently, but they stopped one day. Her mom just stopped one day, and then, like, her brother one time brought up the fact is that said, like, hey, Joe killed her mom, and she's like, wait, what? It's like, don't say anything or he'll make, I'm next. And it's like, all of a sudden her brother stopped coming too. So Raimy being hesitant, not being so certain about him possibly being the Nightingale, which is kind of like, Frank is like, gotta find evidence, because it's like, at the end of the day, what's going to happen is I'm going to have to kill him, so we better make damn sure I'm killing the right person before we go down that path. Because it's like, for them, it's the only way out, because because we've seen what he did to Amanda. It's like they saved Amanda in 96 just for him to kill her in 2016. So it's kind of like, the whole tree situation, a branch, even you cut off one branch, another one's just going to grow at a different part in the tree. So eventually, who's to say, even if you arrest him, who's to say that's going to stick? So eventually he might get out and still kill someone anyway. Even if you capture him, who's to say he won't get out and end up killing Julie later on in the timeline anyway? But nevertheless, she goes to his house, ends up hearing something, and ends up going upstairs, and he ends up attacking her. She gets off a shot, but she can't kill him. She looks in the closet. She finds all this stuff, and then lo and behold, in one of the bags, she finds his wife, Krista, her body in there, and her hands and legs are tied just like the Nightingale's victims. And just for her, like, for Raimy, it's like he was right there. The man who killed my mom, who killed all these people, right there in front of my face, and I didn't even realize it. And to me, I don't know how to interpret that. Like, to me, I don't think Joe is the Nightingale. What I'm thinking is one of two things. I mean, there's three things. He could definitely be Nightingale. Maybe. All the evidence is pointing towards Nightingale being him for now. But who's to say Nightingale isn't a brother? Because we still haven't found out what happened to the brother or Megan. What if Megan lied about this whole situation? Because either way, like, if you take Megan or her brother, maybe either one of them snapped because they saw what Joe did to her, so they made him kind of live out. Maybe every time they're trying to kill these nurses, because apparently that's what Krista was. She was a nurse. But every time they're killing these nurses, it's a way of giving them a good death, like, because their mom probably died in such a bad way that they want to kind of give them peace, essentially. And it's like, I don't think it's Joe. I really think maybe, because the way it makes it seem like that it is indeed a guy. So I was wondering, is like, what if Megan's actually a little crazy and she's actually Nightingale? That basically, like, I don't know, because either way, what if actually one of them is Nightingale and Joe is actually just covering for them? Maybe it wasn't Joe that actually killed Krista. Maybe it was the son, because because Krista was like, she had enough. She was going to tell the truth, and the son, being so afraid of his stepdad, decided to go down that route and ended up accidentally killing his mom. And then he's subsequently doing that all over again, over and over again, as a means of kind of, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but it's like, it could be that route, or maybe it legitimately is Joe. Because he didn't strike me as the Nightingale, because it seems like the Nightingale's calm, cool, and like very calculating, and it just seems like, I don't know, the way he handled that whole situation, I don't know. I really think more so than anything, he's covering up for, whether it's for Megan or whether it's for his son, I don't know. Maybe he actually has Megan and is actually son, because we saw her body, his wife's body in there. We still don't know whatever happened to their son, to Megan's brother. So, but apparently we won't know until January 4th when the show returns. So we gotta wait a little while, but not too long. It's gonna be interesting to see how this all plays out, because it's like Frank, especially at the end of the episode, is like, yeah, Joe's the Nightingale. He's like, okay, good. Now I know I'm gonna kill him. It's like, because it's like he finally kind of things between him and Julie are working out, and it's like it's like the fact is the whole situation with Stan isn't working out. He kind of doesn't know who to trust, but what he does know is his wife's life is in danger, and to make sure to protect not just her but everyone else, but more specifically to her, to kind of make sure his family stays together, he's going to try and do this. So he talked about telling Julie everything. I mean, obviously, I doubt he's going to go down the Raimy route again, because it's like she already thought he was crazy for that. But he's more so than anything, he was talking about those 2 years. So I'm very interested to know what he tells her, and like whether things are still going to be like that when we kind of go back to the show. So I don't know. Like, it's overall a very good episode with some interesting developments, and I'm very interested to see where everything goes from here. So once again, like I said, even with things being the way they are, I'm still very suspicious of Daniel. I mean, even more so now because of the whole scumminess, but still a little suspicious of him. But, like I said, that seems further and further away from things. I just feel like they're setting, I mean, maybe, like I said, Daniel's whole situation is kind of similar to Kyle's from Beauty and Beast. I keep bringing it up because that's the biggest reference I can bring up, to be like, the fact is I'm so adamant against one. I have such a problem with one character that it turns out that character's not as bad as I think they are. I mean, granted, like I said, the scumminess is kind of like leaning very against him in this one. So if it wasn't for her need as a way of kind of holding on to her own, like I said, it's love, but also because I feel like she needs to hold on to Daniel to have something to kind of keep her anchored to her original life. Kind of she already has her mom as a goal, but it's kind of like in the meantime, she needs something else from her original life to kind of keep her balanced, I think. So if it wasn't for that, I wish she'd kind of go off and be with someone else, just for that sake of just, because I get the feeling that's just going to end very ugly. Because who's to say he'll actually muster up the courage to actually break it off with Claire? So, like I said, have to wait till January 4th to see if we get any answers about anything about this. So, but really, that's all I want to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.